The Australian Summer Circuit is underway with the conclusion of the Australian Young Masters Tournament in Adelaide recently. The top seeds in the event were the three IMs, Kanan Izzat from Azerbaijan, James Morris, Andrew Brown, and fourth seed Yi Liu from Brisbane. All four got off to a good start in the tournament with a score of 2.5 out of 3. Yi Liu had better if not winning positions against the two IMs, Andrew Brown and James Morris, but was unable to convert those to victory and then later lost to Kanan Izzat. In round 5, Andrew Brown defeated James Morris from what looked to be an equal endgame, where Morris overpressed and went on to lose. After that, Andrew Brown and top seed Kanan Izzat led the tournament until their exciting final round encounter. In that game, Kanan Izzat played an unexpected Benko gambit and defeated Andrew Brown to win the tournament. We'll be speaking with Kanan Izzat and looking at that game and other game highlights in this video.
Kanan Izzat won a nice game against Alistair Cameron in round 2. Playing with the black pieces, he continued bishop b5 with a discovered attack along the d-file, queen e5 to defend the bishop, bishop f6, queen f5, knight takes d5, rook takes d5, g6, queen e4 to maintain the defense of the rook, bishop c6, rook takes d8, bishop takes e4, rook takes f8 check, rook takes f8. Now black wins a pawn after bishop h6, bishop takes b2, a nice intermezzo, bishop takes f8, bishop takes a1, bishop c5, bishop takes f3, g takes f3, f5, king f1, king f7, king e2, king e6. And now white resigned in light of the fact that black is going to advance his king across to the queen side and push his pawns through. For example, after king d3, king d5, attacking the bishop, bishop b6, bishop e5, attacking the h2 pawn, h3, and now after king c6, regardless of what white does, black will play bishop to c7 and then the advance of the b pawn, and black's queenside pawns go through. In round 3, Yi Liu missed several chances to win against IM Andrew Brown. After reaching this endgame with the white pieces, play continued rook e8 check, rook e7, rook takes e7, king takes e7, knight e5, rook c3. One try here was to return the exchange with rook takes c5 check, d takes c5, d6 check, king b6, and now white's d pawn is promoting after king e6, c4, trying to rush the black pawn through, so we have something of a pawn race, king takes e5, c3, king e6, c2, d7, c1 promoting to a queen, but d8 promoting to a queen with check leaves white 2 pawns up in the resulting queen endgame. But returning to the position after rook c3, play continued king b6, king e6. Another try here for white was rook g3, just cutting off the black knight's entry squares on the g file, threatening to promote the h pawn. But after king e6, play continued king takes b5, h4, knight g6, rook b3 check, king a6, e5, very interesting move, just trying to divert that knight from its duties. Knight takes e5, slightly dubious because now h5, knight g4, rook g3 attacking the knight, knight to f2, h6, bishop d4, h7, b5, and here white continued with rook g8 to promote the pawn. However, more accurate would have been king f7, and then after b4, rook g7, cutting off the bishop's defense of the square h8. After bishop takes g7, king takes g7, b3, h8 promotes to a queen in time for the queen to come across behind the b pawn. So that would have been winning for white. But instead, after rook g8, play continued. b4, king takes d6, king b5, and here h8 equals queen. Again, the possibility of king e7, so that after b3, d6, and now the d pawn promotes. After h8 equals queen, bishop takes h8, rook takes h8, b3, king e6, and this was perhaps the final chance where Liu could have pressed for the win with king e5 instead, so that after b2, king d4, note that black can't promote the b pawn because of rook b8 check, king a4, well now rook b8, and after perhaps a move like king a3, white continues with d6 and promotes his own pawn, whilst the king is actively placed in the centre and restricts the knight's opportunities to come back and cut off the pawn's advance. Well, unfortunately, after king e6, play continued knight e4, king e5, knight c5, king d4, knight d7, rook h1, king b4, rook h7, knight c5, rook h8, knight d7, rook d8, knight b6, rook b8, king b5, king c3, king c5, and after d6, knight d5 check, king takes b3, and king takes d6, we've reached a drawn ending, and the players agreed to a draw soon afterwards.
I'm here with Kanan Izzat, the winner of the Australian Young Masters tournament recently concluded in Adelaide. Kanan, congratulations on the result. You've been living in Australia for about a year now?
Yeah, like
Okay, so you're doing uni study here?
yeah, I'm studying at Latrobe University, nanotechnology course.
Nanotechnology, wow, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's complicated. I don't entirely even get it myself yet.
And how much longer of the course?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be in Australia for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, great. And your IM title, that was approved some time ago, subject to rating, is that right?
Yeah, it was something to do with getting the 2400 rating mark.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a few norms, like 5 or 6. So
Okay,
I had to
wow.
reach 2400,
Okay.
yeah.
So that'll all fall into place.
Yeah.
Now the Australian Young Masters tournament, obviously you're invited to play against the top Australian players. You drove over with a group of friends?
Yeah, I drove with James Morris and Philip Joe.
Okay.
We were staying together. It was really an enjoyable trip.
Oh,
Also,
nice.
it was really, it took like 9 hours.
Great. It's a long drive.
Yeah.
Travelling anywhere around Australia is long.
Yeah.
People perhaps from Europe don't
Sure,
realise
yeah.
the distance involved.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about the tournament, because you had an early draw with James and then 1 or 2 tough games, but you won all those and then went through to the final round with
Well, yeah, it was pretty. Also, the result is pretty impressive, but it wasn't that an easy run. Every game required some full concentration apart from first game, because I was playing with a friend of mine, James Morris, and it was first game. We were tied, but we were happy with the draw. Yeah. Well,
I did see that game. We might even show that in here.
Yeah, it was quite nice draw. Well, yeah, and the rest of the game was really hard. I got a bit of lucky against John Smaller, and Yeah, and the rest of the game I was pretty happy with my game. I was getting position from openings and, well, I guess I played not bad.
Apart from the final round game against Andrew Brown, were there any other games that you felt quite challenging or quite tough?
Yeah, that's where I said by getting a bit lucky against Jonas Miller because kind of a very big advantage, I would say, in the end game. But, well, I stuffed up at some point.
These things happen.
Yeah.
They're the best of us.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to make an easy draw, but, you know, he was short on time, so it's fair enough.
Okay.
Manage, yeah.
Often that situation with time travel can crazy things.
Yeah, it's fair enough. So yeah, you get nervous and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Now the final game against Andrew Brown, we'll have a look at that inside. Sure. So maybe we'll head inside, take a look at that game, and go from there.
Hi, I'm with Kanan Izzat. Kanan, you played an exciting final round encounter with Andrew Brown. And the choice of opening, you played a Benko Gambit, a very lively opening. Can you tell us about the choice of that opening and maybe run us through the game?
Yeah, well, that contains a very nice story behind it. So, apparently I don't play that opening at all. It was the first time I did. Well, so the story is that Philip Drew, one of the participants, was playing this opening against Alistair Cameron.
Yep.
And we were analyzing together after the game.
Yes.
He lost, and so Alistair Cameron mentioned that there was some moment when Philip Drew wasn't exact in the opening.
Right.
Well, so, you know, during analyzing any game, you just get some ideas about any opening.
And you go through that opening with him?
Yeah, which pretty much helped me a lot during this game because, I definitely memorized some ideas.
So it was by sheer fluke that you were analysing these other players who played the Benko and you thought, why not try that in my final round game? That's a pretty ballsy choice, pretty brave choice.
I wasn't sure about it, but that it had some psychological effect also. He wasn't definitely prepared for that, so I thought it might be surprising for him. And
well, it worked out. Let's go through the game perhaps.
Sure.
Do you want to read the moves out?
Yep, so D4,
Yep.
Knight F6, C4, C5, D5, B5, C takes B5, A6, B takes A6. So here, pretty much already have to play G6, but I just took an A6, which is probably fine. Knight C3, G6, G3. Well, at this point I was really upset because I was preparing for something different.
Yeah, so he's played the Fianchetto variation, and you're expecting the main line where he plays E4.
Yeah, well, I think he's playing E3, I was expecting anything but this. I was like praying not to play G3. Well, he did, so D6, Bishop G2, Bishop G7, Knight S3, Knight B7, Castle. Yeah, and here I remember Alistair said that I have to play Knight B6, not to let White to play Queen C2 and Rook D1.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
so
forces them.
the pressure on the D5 pawn.
Well,
Knight B6, Rook E1, Castle, E4, well, Knight F7, not to let E5, Queen C2, Knight C4, Bishop F4, Queen A5, Rook C1, Rook A1, Rook FB8, B3, and Knight C E5. Well, I was pretty surprised that it's all pretty much theory here.
Yeah.
I had no idea about it. Well, they're pretty, they're natural moves, so it wasn't really hard to figure them out. Well, at this point, Andrew Brown took on E5 with a knight and offered me a draw, which, forced me to think for half an hour.
So he played knight takes E5.
Yeah, maybe this is not the exact best move because I think Rook ED1 is a bit better. So that after, I guess Black should take on his rank, play C4. Yeah, and Bishop takes C4, you take C4, Bishop C4. Yeah, I still reckon it's pretty, good for Black. It should be equal probably. And Black don't have problems.
Okay, so going back to the game, after knight takes E5, he offered you a draw.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Thoughts are really different because I think I was happy with the draw before the game.
Well, that would secure outright.
Exactly. And Andrew Brown had a pretty good tournament and very good run. Well, but at this position, I just thought exactly about half an hour. And I was just wondering during the game what people watching me online thinking about. What is he thinking about? Obviously 95.
Okay, so you played the obvious game. Knight takes
E5. So Bishop takes E5, takes E5, Bishop F1. Well, I assume Andrew Brown just wanted to make it simpler and try to hold that endgame. Well, I just took an F1, king take F1, takes on C3, takes back, takes Queen, Rook A2. And well,
now after this position, after rook takes a2, there's actually a well-known game, Niklash versus Grishuk in the mains rapid play 2005, which started in exactly the same way. So had you known that you'd follow Grishuk's preparations, you would have been really happy.
Well, yeah, well, I would have been very happy, but I had no idea, to be honest.
So the game continued for white with h4. But we weren't too keen on that move.
Yeah, we were analyzed with Andrew after h4. Maybe instead of h4, rook e2 is a bit, more precise.
Okay.
So that I can't put my rook on b2 in a very good square.
Right.
Well,
and just exchanging rooks, maybe that single rook might be more drawerish.
Take rook b4. Yeah, it's a bit, unpleasant for white to play, but should be holdable for sure, I guess.
And this is quite a common thing to play that rook on b4, blockade the b3 pawn and just
this is probably
bring the king into play.
This is probably what I would play.
Yeah, okay, so back to the game after h4.
Yes.
Play continued rook b2, and now you're rounding up that.
And rook e3 is forced because b3 pawn is hanging.
Taking that pawn, yes.
And h5, trying to fix that. And rook c2, rook a8, because white's threat is e5. Well, rook a8 and rook a3, check. Rook king g2 and rook e1. Well, and here white can't play rook d3 because of if white
after rook d3.
Yeah, it's bad because I play rook b e2 and
e2
and he has to take because I'm threatening to go into opponent game with double pawns. And after rook f4, which is forced, I play rook e1, and this position is quite
pleasant for black.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to defend here because it's kind of 6-1. White can't move his king on e3 because I will take a pawn after rook b1, and white can't move the rook.
So you can't play king
e3 because of rook b1.
b1.
Yeah,
wow.
and
and you can't defend.
Yeah, it's really hard to find a move for white.
So going back to this position,
I think this
white's
should
had some
be
difficulties.
Probably winning already.
Okay, so instead of rook d3, Andrew Brown played rook fe3, hoping to exchange rooks and relieve the pressure a little bit. Some spectators thought that maybe the double rook ending may have been his best chance to hold on.
Yeah, probably, maybe, but it's really hard to put the rooks on the
useful squares.
Yeah, because my rooks are pretty active. Well, after the exchanging rooks, the king g7, king f1, king f6.
So around this point, did you feel that the game was already starting to really swing your way?
Yeah, I guess so, because it's really pleasant to play this kind of positions when you're black because you don't risk much. All have to. What's happening is white have to be precise, which is pretty hard.
And white's really tied down here.
And rook f3, king f1, rook f7. King takes d4, rook e7, king takes d5, and rook e3. Well, maybe there was a chance for him to play rook g7 instead of rook e3.
Okay, so let's just go back there. Rook g7. Attacking. Oh, my apologies. Let's just do that again.
Rook g7.
Rook g7, attacking the g pawn.
And then I
so after you take on b3, he captures on g6.
And during the game I thought rook b2 is pretty strong.
Well, I mean, you've got these passed pawns on the queen side, and they just look so strong, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. After rook b2, just king's cuts off, and I thought I should win time most of the time. Yeah, maybe that's why he refuted this line.
Sure. Well, so he rejected that line and went instead with rook e3.
But it doesn't help much either because his king is still cut off and my king is pretty active. And after natural, king d4, king e1, d5, rook e3, rook c2, trying to put rook c3. G4, that's kind of probably, that's the only chance. I think that's the best chance, actually. He was defending very well. Rook c3, check, rook f4, king e5, rook a4. So the problem is I can't pretty much take on b3 now because of f4 check. And things are getting...
If here, then
f4.
f4 check.
And after my king is forced to move on 6 rank.
Okay,
and then you can
check from behind.
Yeah, things getting really dodgy.
And it's suddenly not so clear. Alrighty,
that's why I just took on it and g4.
Right. Did you think about taking on g4 earlier when he first played g4?
Obviously I firstly was thinking about taking b3 pawn for free, but when I realized that f4 is kind of dodgy. I just took on g4.
Okay.
Trying to play safer. Well, just took on b3.
Now you
Rook
take
g6.
Yep.
Well, putting rook behind the pawn, rook h3. And there was a check, rook g5. Well, at this point, king d4, rook g4, king c3. Well, there's a nice variation, but it looks like white can somehow draw after rook g3.
Rook g3
Yeah,
check, which wasn't played, but this variation was critical because you end up with a pawn race, right? After rook takes g3.
Yeah, unfortunately for white it doesn't work because after king c2, h5, d4, h6, d3, h7, d2 check, king f2, d1 queen, h checked queen, and there's a queen d4.
Queen d4 check, beautiful. And you calculated this over the board?
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, that's why it worked, and king c3 is a good
so obviously here, white would be forced to exchange queens.
And now my pawn is much faster.
Your pawn is just coming straight through with only 3 squares to promotion as opposed to his. So instead of that, going back to king c3, he played rook g5.
Yeah, which is strong. King c4, now it's forced. h5, d4, king e2. Well,
now I think you're winning. Your queenside pawns are passed and coming through, and you've got your rook behind his h pawn.
Yeah, I guess it should be winning, but it's not easy because king b4, and there's an nice one, rook d5, and I can't move my pawns.
Slowing you down, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I went back. King c4, rook g5, and I played rook a3, which is probably not the best move here because I guess he could have played rook g1 in this position instead of h6. Causing me a lot of problems because now he can get behind his pawn, his own pawn, and it can distract me. And his king is pretty close to my passed pawns, so it's really getting. Yeah, we analyzed Landreau after in this position and couldn't find.
What was the continuation you thought you would go with? Rook h3, or just trying to advance
maybe rook
the pawns?
a2 check.
Right.
Yeah, and king f3, maybe d3, h6.
Wow, so that pawn's getting pretty close.
Yeah, there were many variations about this.
Okay.
You know, can't remind now, but yeah, we figure out that it doesn't win for black. But so
I might have to look with an engine later and see if what the computer says.
Yeah,
you would have done that perhaps.
Yeah, not yet, but I will because I just came to Melbourne yesterday.
Okay, so back after rook a3, h6
Yep.
was played instead of rook g1, and you were able to repeat.
Yeah, so that's what I want. Yeah, all I wanted to do is just to force him push his pawn one rank, in front, so it doesn't bother me with c5.
Aha, so now after rook g6, he's not hanging on to that c pawn or attacking that c pawn.
Well, so king c3. No, so I can't play king c3 here because of rook g3.
Oh yes, and he swaps off. So you played rook h2 first.
Yes.
Yep.
Rook f6, king c3, and after this it's kind of easy win because pawns are just promoting themselves.
Okay, so the game finished with rook f3 check, king c2, rook f5, c4, rook f4, d3 check, king e3, c3, and now it's clear that you're going to break through with the pawns, rook d4, d2, and Andrew Brown resigned. Well done, congratulations. That's a really nice game.
Thank you.
So that victory gave Kanan Izzat outright first in the tournament with a score of 6.5 points out of 7, leaving Andrew Brown in second with 5.5 points and James Morris in third place with 5 points. Thank you for watching. I look forward to presenting the highlights from the next Australian Summer Circuit International, the Australasian Masters GM tournament in Melbourne next week. Hope you can join me then.